Night fell across the valley like a veil of forgotten sorrow. A hush settled between the mountains and the river as though the world were holding its breath. Nothing stirred but the wind, and even it moved softly, afraid to wake whatever ancient memory slept beneath the soil. Beneath the oldest olive tree, gnarled like the fingers of time itself, a whisper rose. Not a mortal voice, not the breeze, not a creature of the night. It was a whisper woven of memory and shadow, soft enough to be imagined, yet heavy enough to chill the marrow. It called a name. It called Elijah. And in the distance, a man halted mid-stride, as if an unseen string tied to his heart had been tugged. Elijah turned. The valley was empty, or so it appeared. But the whisper came again, a sound like an old wound remembering itself. Though every instinct screamed at him to run, Elijah followed. He arrived at the olive tree breathless, his cloak dusted with the road, his eyes weary from years he no longer tried to count. No traveler approached this tree willingly. Stories said it sang to lost souls, that its sap bled the color of old secrets, that it was rooted in the seam between worlds. Yet Elijah stepped closer. His lantern flickered, then died as though smothered by unseen hands. Darkness swallowed him whole, but the whisper persisted. Elijah, it is time. He froze. That voice. It was a memory he had buried beneath a decade of exile and regret. Who's there? He demanded. The wind held its breath. Elijah, the whisper sighed. You swore to return. His pulse quickened. Old pain surged awake like a bruise pressed by a ghost. I swore nothing, he hissed. Not after what happened. Left everything behind. Everyone. And yet you came when I called. Elijah's breath trembled. He had no answer. The olive tree towered over him, its branches twisting like serpents. The trunk was carved with countless marks, names, symbols, warnings, prayers. At its roots lay a stone altar, a relic of a forgotten covenant, a place where truth demanded to be spoken. And the whisper rose again, not from one direction but from everywhere: the earth, the sky, the hollow between his ribs. Tell us why you returned. I didn't return, Elijah whispered back. I was drawn. He closed his eyes, and the past flooded in. A village, a shrine, a girl with eyes like dawn breaking through storm clouds. Her name, Mira. He remembered her laughter, her touch, her unwavering belief in the light. And he remembered her silence. The silence of that final day. The day he lost her, the day he ran. He clenched his fists. A decade, and the wound still bled. I don't want to remember, he muttered. But the roots remember, the whisper replied. And they have waited long enough. The ground trembled. The olive tree's bark shimmered, revealing glowing patterns like moonlit scars. Images flickered before Elijah's eyes. Mira kneeling in the shrine. Strange light swirling. A forbidden ritual. Elijah reaching for her too late. The tree pulsing with ancient power. The sky tearing open. No, Elijah gasped. I can't relive this. You must, the whisper said. Because she is not gone. His heart stopped. His breath fractured. What do you mean? He whispered. The leaves rustled, though there was no wind. She lives, the whisper murmured, in the place where memory and shadow intertwine. The revelation slashed through him like lightning. Mira, alive. How? He demanded. Where is she? The olive tree groaned, a sound like an old door opening into another age. You will see it, answered. Step closer. Fear and hope warred within him. At last he stepped forward, and the world fell away. Darkness became light. Light became sound. Elijah felt suspended in a corridor of shifting echoes, as though he walked inside the dream of an ancient god. Then a presence, familiar, tender, painfully missed. Elijah. A voice called, soft as breath on skin. Mira, he ran, his footsteps echoing like a heartbeat. Mira, he cried. Where are you? Behind the veil, her voice replied sorrowfully. Where I was left after you ran, he stumbled. I didn't run, he insisted. I couldn't save you, yet you survived, her voice whispered. And survival demands answers. The corridor brightened. Symbols pulsed along the walls. A door materialized ahead, made of memory and sorcery. Beyond it, he felt her presence, warm as sunlight, wounded as a broken promise. He reached for the handle, But when his fingers touched it, the whispers roared, and the truth burst open. Mira was not calling him. Something using her voice was. The door exploded inward, hurling him into a cavern of phosphorescent shadows. At the center stood a stone dais, and atop it a form bound in vines of shimmering darkness. Mira. Her body was suspended, alive but unmoving. Mira, he whispered, his voice breaking. Her eyes fluttered. Alaya, she breathed. He rushed forward, but the shadows surged between them, slamming into his chest with the force of a collapsing mountain. A shape rose from the darkness, tall, featureless, cloaked in shifting smoke. A sentinel, a guardian, a jailer. Alaya drew the blade he hadn't used in years. "What are you?" he demanded. The figure tilted its head. When it spoke, its voice was a legion speaking in unison. "We are the keepers of the veil. We hold what the world is not ready to face." "And what is that?" Alaya roared. The chamber shook as the keepers replied. Truth. He didn't understand, but Mira did. With her last strength, she whispered, "Alaya, the ritual didn't bind me, it bound us." He froze. "What?" Her eyes filled with tears. "You never escaped, Alaya. You only forgot." The world lurched. Reality cracked open like an egg. And Alaya finally saw. It was never Mira who had been trapped. It was him. The ritual years ago, meant to awaken ancient wisdom, had instead fractured his soul, casting half of it into the veil. Mira had dived in after him, trying to save what remained. She reached for him, but he didn't reach back. He ran, and in running, he left her chained to the shadow of his own brokenness. The revelation crushed him. "No," he whispered, his knees buckling. "I didn't know." Mira's voice trembled. "That is why I called. Not to punish, but to finish what began. To free us both." He looked up, tears burning. "How?" The keepers answered. "Face the memory you fled." The chamber dimmed until nothing remained but a circle of light. And in the center of it a second Alaya appeared, younger, stronger, eyes burning with a fear he refused to acknowledge. His shadow self, the part he abandoned, the part he never forgave. "Face him," Mira whispered, "or we remain prisoners." Alaya stepped forward. His shadow mirrored him. He drew his blade. So did the shadow. "You're everything I tried to forget," Alaya whispered. "And everything you must remember," the shadow replied. Steel clashed. Sparks flew. Their battle was not just physical, but spiritual. Every strike revealed a memory. Every wound opened a truth. "You left her," the shadow roared. "I was afraid. You abandoned your gift. I never wanted it. You were meant to protect her. I failed her." The outcry shook the chamber's foundations. The shadow paused, and for the first time, its voice softened. "Yes," it said, "you failed her. But failure is not the end." The shadow stepped closer, becoming less of a monster and more of a mirror. "Accept me," it whispered. "Accept what you were, what you are, and what you must become." Alaya dropped his blade. Tears streamed freely. "I accept," he whispered. Light enveloped them both. When it cleared, the shadow was gone, and Alaya felt whole for the first time in years. The vines binding Mira cracked and fell away. Alaya rushed to her, breaking the remaining bonds. Mira collapsed into his arms. "You came back," she whispered. "No," he replied, his voice steady, certain. "I finally arrived." The chamber rumbled. The keeper's voices thundered. "The veil is thinning. Leave now or remain forever." A blinding beam of light shot from the dais, enveloping them. The veil dissolved. The world rebuilt itself around them. The valley, the night, the olive tree. Mira leaned into his chest. "Alaya," she murmured. "The tree is changing." He looked. The ancient olive tree shimmered with new leaves, each one glimmering with pale gold light. "It's healing," Alaya whispered. "No," Mira corrected, smiling softly. "We're healing. The tree only reflects us." But peace did not last. The ground split violently beneath them. Keepers materialized at the tree's base, their shapes dimming. "The veil is not stable," they warned. "Your reunion rewrote the balance." A massive fissure tore across the valley, light surging upward wild, uncontrolled. The veil was collapsing. Myra gripped Eliah's hand. "You must seal it." He nodded. "How?" "Together." They approached the olive tree. Mira placed her palm on the bark. Eliah mirrored her, their light intertwined, sunrise and sunset merging into one. The ground roared. The sky shook. Together, they pressed their hands harder, their souls ignited. The olive tree answered. Roots burst from the ground, snaking across the fissure, drinking the runaway magic. The valley convulsed. Then silence. The fissure sealed. The veil stabilized. And the olive tree stood taller than ever. Eliah collapsed to his knees, breathing raggedly. Mira knelt beside him. "It's done," she whispered. "We're free." Dawn crept across the horizon. Birds began to stir. Wind whispered through the olive leaves, no longer haunted but peaceful. Eliah and Mira sat at the tree's base, hands intertwined. "What happens now?" he asked. Mira leaned her head on his shoulder. "We live," she said simply. "No more running, no more forgetting, no more shadows." He closed his eyes. For the first time, the future did not terrify him. As they rose to leave, the olive tree rustled. A single whisper drifted through the morning air. "Remember," Elias smiled. "I will." Hand in hand, he and Mira walked toward the rising sun, leaving the valley and the ghosts behind. But not the truth. For the truth, finally embraced, had set them free. And the olive tree watched them go, its branches swaying in a breeze that carried not sorrow but promise. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales of magic, mystery, and heart. See you in the next one.